As a leader, we sometimes try so hard to hide our weakness that people will know your weakness and you don't need to hide. It will just eventually appear because you are at the front so often. Therefore, is how do we lead by example, not worry about our weakness, and show the effort that you are putting in to improve yourself.
Welcome to Agile Leaders Conversations. This is a podcast where we invite human-centered professionals and leaders to share what it means to lead in today's workplaces. From their personal stories, find out their greatest learning that guides them through disruption and forge a better way forward. Their insights will maximize your leadership potential and unlock possibilities for a better future. My name is Chuen Chuen. I'm the author of Leaders People Love, a guide for agile leaders to creating great workplaces and happy employees. I'm delighted to have you listening today. My guest today is Mun Choon, who began his transition journey from a military career into the private sector. Today, he is the general manager of a healthcare training institute, where he aspires to influence the community by educating and empowering people to care for others. Good to see you, Mun Choon. Welcome to the show. To start off, tell us your name, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Mun Choon here. Currently, I'm working in the T Center. I head the CT Center as a GM, and me myself find this job very interesting because when I did my career transition 3 years back, I didn't know what do I want to do. But the people find that as I engage students in my previous organization, they see the energy and passion in me. So those are the feedback that I got, and that's the reason why I decided to go into training. The Training Institute has a very interesting mission. It is to be a social enterprise. And the things that we do is to help unemployed Singaporeans, to help the community learn more about healthcare skills and all this. So in the end, I find the things that I do here very purposeful and meaningful. And that's why I'm here and I'm still here.
I can definitely hear the passion and the heart to serve and give back. Okay, for listeners, a benefit, CET stands for?
Continuing Education Training Center.
This is a group of organizations in Singapore that looks after upskilling, lifelong learning for Singaporeans. Is that right?
Yes, correct. So we are accredited training center for SSG, Skills Future Singapore, and we train and then we skill up individuals who are unemployed to join a new sector, which currently for me is the healthcare sector. And at the same time, through the skills framework, we provide them with a WSQ certification.
And healthcare skills, this is something that we need to seriously look at because the reality is no matter how we look on the outside, we are aging.
Yes, you're right. So for us, because of the aging population, and over here as a healthcare training center, we have so many trainings or even knowledge on caregiving. That's why our second social enterprise aim is to share more of this caregiving knowledge to the Singaporean, to the community, because this is going to be a life skill that all of us need. And as our parents grow old, as we ourselves grow old, the skills is needed. A good example was when I was in the hospital, my wife was warded for some minor issue. So next door, the elderly lady was trying to get up and she couldn't even get up. I was so worried that I do the wrong thing and I used the wrong force or accidentally injured her. So then it shows that the knowledge of caregiving is so important. And that's why I find it very meaningful for me to continue to know this area.
Definitely, what you are doing now will benefit the citizens, the nation in the long run, right?
Yeah.
Because we already can see the pressure on the healthcare system. So what if the citizens, the children, take on that caregiving responsibilities, then we can take that load off hospitals.
Yes, you're right.
Sounds like 3 wonderful years of that transition. We shall dig into that a little bit later. When you think about a leader people will love, I'm sure there's people who shaped you into who you are. So when you think about a person that people will love, who is that first one that comes to your mind?
It's my ex-boss. He was a very inspiring boss to me. Not because of his charisma, of course, that's one of the key factors of a leader, but because he had a lot of confidence and trust in you. Of course, this trust is built over years. Whenever there is problems, regardless big or small, he gives you that trust. He has faith in you that you have done your due diligence. And he is always at the back, trusting you, making sure that he will be there to answer everything. The confidence that he gives to you, I think that is a very important factor. And because of him, that's how I also try to give my staff more trust and also being there for them when things doesn't go right.
So two very important qualities. One is when problems arise, instead of how many people will react, which is to blame, like,
Yes,
why, whatever, how can you let
yes,
this happen?
yes,
You know,
yes,
those
yeah.
drama. What are the things that he would say when you go to him and say, look, this has happened?
I remember a contractor complaining about the progress of certain things was slow. So he just asked me what happened. I want to hear your perspective. So we just shared with him where was the gap, what was lacking, and what resulted in it. I guess it's also after working for so many years, I've proven myself to him that I don't hide issues and all this. So that's where the trust is. And he listened and okay, let's meet the contractor and then let's have a discussion with them on the issue and not start trying to dig further, start finger pointing. I think I have encountered bosses like that. It's not a very pleasant experience.
You will feel attacked on the onset, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And cannot be constructive, cannot be productive. So the key thing is, I heard this, so he's not mincing the words, he's not beating around the bush, like asking things like, so how is the relationship with the contractor
yeah,
going, to try to fish it out of you.
Yeah, straight to the point. Yes, you're right.
That's very good. So no blame culture. And of course, you have demonstrated over time that you are trustworthy and he has belief in you. He has
Correct.
seen the best in you. So he trusts in that character. You did mention about charisma earlier. This is something that I think listeners would be very curious about, because a lot of introverted leaders feel very concerned. I don't have charisma. How do I be a good leader in people's eyes? What do you think?
I will share one experience about this. I think introvert extrovert is very misunderstood reasons that all of us use for ourselves. I say I'm an introvert, but you look at the way I'm talking to you now, are you sure he's an introvert? He can talk like everything under the sky. The thing is that my experience was with my son. When I brought him to a drama training center, the trainer asked me, what do you want out of this training session? I said, can you help me to make him speak out more and be an extrovert? So he tell me, I don't think I can do that. You can't do that. I pay and you say you can't do that. But I didn't say it out. So she told me, if he's an introvert, he will always be an introvert. But I can teach him the technique, how to step out of the shell and be extrovert that he needs to be. And then that sets me thinking about all my experience in my life. In Polytechnic, I never liked to stand in front of class to present. Eventually, when I joined the service, there was a time that I need to stand up in front and present. And over time, I learned. And then I realized, it takes time and practice for me to be able to step out of the shell. And all introvert, once we are done, when we step back into the shell, we will all just be drained out and tired. So I think introvert and extrovert is just a factor of whether ability of us to step out. When we are out of the shell, be able to engage people and being sincere. I think being sincere is one thing that people can feel the most. Being sincere, always talk to them at their level. I think that is very important. And one thing I like most about some of those leaders that I really admire are those, when the sky drops down, they are still cool as a cucumber. As a leader, we also need to keep our cool. Like a recent seminar, someone mentioned, as a leader, we are always lonely. We have no one to talk to share our problems. But that's our job, to shelter the employees so that they do what they can do.
So be as cool as a cucumber even when the sky falls. So I like that you unpack this shell. It's great that you met their trainer who say, no, I cannot convert your son from introvert to extrovert. So here I also want to tell all the clients, I cannot turn introvert leaders into extrovert.
Yeah, correct.
They must know when to step into the shell and step out of it. And that's where that agility, that flexibility exists in all of us. That's why we talk about neuroplasticity. Two things I hear for introverted leaders who want to develop charisma, maybe how we define charisma needs to be checked as well. Do we equip ourselves with the right skills to present and engage and step out when we need to speak for ourselves, for our team members, and present matters, right? Sincerity is that human relatable quality that will build connections, that you will melt anybody. It's not about pretending to be somebody who you are not. And the second one, which I also always encourage my clients to look at, what is your recovery routine? Top athletes, after they do a sprint, there's a recovery routine.
I shared leadership is lonely. In a company where you are at the top, you're lonely. But there's always friends who are of the same level as you. There are times when you're tired, you just need to sit down and talk to them, share your problems. Because just like my experience, although it's not about leadership, but in the transition, everyone's transition in a career is unique. And I find my solution to my transition talking to many people who have walked the path. So I think talking to friends who understand the challenges you're going through allows you to relax and release some of your tension. But of course, if you ask me as an introvert, I just want my me time. When you are tired, you just need that me time to step back.
Yes, a lot of self-assurance I'm also hearing. A lot of people I work with, they are not comfortable with asking time and space. So they suppress instead of being aware and connected with themselves. That's why personal mastery is such a big thing.
I think the key thing is knowing yourself and finding ways to help yourself cope. Because that coping mechanism is unique to each individual. And also about mindfulness. When mindfulness first came out, I also know how does mindfulness help you in coping with stress. As you read more, you try out a bit more, then you start to understand, mindfulness let you focus on the present and not be distracted by the past and by what is yet to happen. So there are many methods out there that helps us cope.
So self-awareness, very important. And imagine learning how to breathe all over again.
Oh, the breathing technique was quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody is breathing, but are we breathing the best way we can? Maybe it's a better way to breathe that will keep us as cool as a cucumber, because staying in the present is how we make a difference. So in your area of responsibility, running a social enterprise, there's also a training institute. What have you learned about leadership that you try to pass on?
Okay, as I shared, to build trust is not overnight. And I always believe the foundation to a strong relationship is trust. And in leadership, it's all about relationship. And because we are managing people, trust is important. But trust is a very big word to say. So then how do you engender trust? So for me, I keep this leadership core value close at heart. It's this thing called the leadership by example. Because as a leader, we sometimes try so hard to hide our weakness that people will know your weakness and you don't need to hide. It will just eventually appear because you are at the front so often. Therefore, is how do we lead by example, not worry about our weakness, and show the effort that you are putting in to improve yourself. I think that's the key thing. So that's why to build trust, we need to really be there with them so that you understand what are the challenges they have, listen to them, talk to them, and eventually it leads to trust building. So that's my approach.
So many good things, and it's very aligned with what I'm trying to teach in leadership storytelling. Because one of the ways we try to apply leadership storytelling is how to build trust. How do you build a trustworthy leadership brand? The issue is not about whether you are trustworthy or not. It's whether others think you are trustworthy or not.
Yes, correct.
So you're right. Trust is such a big word. It's a complex word. That's why we need to educate people and show people through actions. So one of the effective ways, leadership by example. And I like the lightness that you have when you talk about weaknesses. Don't bother to hide it. People will see it.
People will see it. Knowing your weakness and trying to overcome it, people will appreciate it. I think the most important, people will respect you for it.
They respect you because of the effort, not because you have no weakness.
Yeah, correct. When no weakness become flawless, then they are a bit worried. Wow, this one, oh my God, he's going to come here and pinpoint everything and I have no answer for it. In that sense, it also inspire your staff that they have weakness and that they can also do their best.
So your consistent effort to be aware of the weakness and take constructive steps to address it is infectious. That's how the passion is also infectious. Don't be too perfect. Of course, if you are super good in everything you do, you're perfect. But there are instances where being too perfect makes you unrelatable.
Yes, that's true. But it depends on individuals. I have bosses who are super perfectionists, but they make sure everything is covered. before they start to do anything. It works. But there are also bosses who say, I think it's good enough. Let's try it and just tweak as we go along. So there's different approach to things. And I won't say which model is more superior, but it depends on the context and the scenario that you are encountering. And of course, when you're running a crisis center in the organization, you won't have time to be so perfect. So it is very contextual.
Sure. What is it about the bosses who are perfectionists, who are very good, they're very sharp? What is it they did that makes it work?
The sharp and perfectionist type of bosses tend to spot your blind spot. So if it complements you, it'll be useful. But it goes back to my same point about trust. If I'm a perfectionist and I distrusted you, I point finger, are you sure this one is that? And you doubted me, that will break everything, your leadership. But if you are a perfectionist and there is trust between you and me, and as my boss bring in areas that I may have missed, that blind spot, we are augmenting each other. I think that's most important.
So it's okay if we have skills and strengths in a certain area, use these to complement your team by augmenting the entire team, pointing out blind spots instead of taking the fault-finding stance, which will deflate people.
Because we are dealing with human, the communication needs to go on. But me being an introvert, sometimes I don't like to talk a lot. But at work, it is about taking effort to step out, to talk, and to explain the why. When I do something, I also want to explain the why, so then they understand and they don't misread my intention. So it's important to share the why so that people understand and they can align.
Communication is key. Some leaders will say we can never over-communicate. What's your take on this?
I do agree that we can never over-communicate, because every time you need to push down information to your staff, they need to be aligned. You must always remember at their level, they are also bombarded with a lot of information from their work. There will be a time they will be saturated and they won't be absorbing information. So as a leader, there won't be a time we over-communicate, but we need to know what are the things necessary to be communicated. If not, you'll become noises to them and then a distraction. And then the worst is things are not clear. Then the next things change, and then you communicate again, and people will ask, what is happening? Why are there so many versions?
The discernment and the judgment. That's why I'm very worried when some people tell me we can never over communicate. If the when, what, and how are not appropriate, your communication becomes noise, and you don't want it to become noise. You want it to become wisdom, right? I can hear a lot of the thoughtful thinking behind, and every word or every action you take, there's an intention. So the law of intentionality, that's very strong. I want to ask about your career transition, how you decided to start a new career at 45. 46 plus the people who are coming to the training institute, when they lose a job and we want to upskill them into healthcare workers, what are the barriers? How can we help them? Because I have a bigger group of people in their 40s, 50s.
Asset range from 20s and above. But career transition, the age is 40 and above. Those are considered as mid-career transition. Around the organization, there are people who refuse to grow and just happy with what they have. Yesterday, I attended a talk. There's a question about how to encourage individual urgency in learning. To me, there's only two ways. One is you hit the wall and you realize, oh no, I got to do something about it. So for me, the wall is near. At 50, you have to retire, or do you want to wait until 50 or do it earlier at 45? Second, the agency comes in a form of, if this training doesn't lead me to anything, I will not learn. If I were to learn this, I will have a chance to get a promotion. I will have a chance to get a better life. There is that motivation to learn. So I think in the organization, my approach in managing some of my staff is that for the younger staff, I'll tell them, my years here with them is as much as possible to value add into them. Sometimes you need to tell, sometimes you need to encourage, but that messaging must continuously be there. That's how you slowly shift the mindset. So that's how I look at it.
So for organizations that are transforming or want to ride the wave of disruption, I think learning organization is very important. And you cannot have a learning organization unless you have learning individuals.
Yes, correct. It starts from the individual. That's why you're called an organization, right?
Yes, and these tensions that we constantly see and hear about in different organizations, some are innovating, transforming faster, and then there are those that are stuck. When you break it down this way, it's going back to fundamentals, how to raise an individual's agency to learn, regardless of age. And we are all motivated by different factors. It could be an unpleasant end is coming, the wall is near. There is immediate need for us to get out of our comfort zone to do something. The second one, I think purpose, that also has to do with the purpose of work.
Yeah, that's true. The purpose of work in the stage of life for each and every one of us, we have a different purpose. When you're younger, your whole purpose was to stabilize for your family, answer to the basic needs, making sure I have a roof above my head, or even help my parents so that my brother can finish schools. Those are our purpose, and we work hard for that purpose. Similarly, in my organization as a social enterprise, I keep reminding all of them that purpose. And for us, because it's in the mission statement, that purpose is very clear. They all know what they are doing when they go out, everyone that graduate. And even after their training, the answer to their whole purpose is to help someone. To me, social enterprise is about helping. So if you find meaning and purpose in that, then you will find that drive and passion. Also, purpose is very important.
The meaning of work in relative to our life will change depending on our seasons in life, and what is purposeful, meaningful to everyone would be different. For social enterprise, we are attracting people who want to help others. For other sectors, the purpose would look and sound, feel different. I like what you said earlier. Leaders and organizations are preparing people for life, value adding to them. We are encouraging them to learn by telling, nagging, educating, broadcasting, inspiring, encouraging. We are value adding to them as they progress in career, which is not just promotion. We are teaching them the various ways they can fish, acquire essential skills that will prepare them for the next stage in life. And when they leave us, at least we want to tell ourselves that, hey, I've done my best to prepare this person for the next milestone in life.
Yes, totally agree. And that is my own purpose. So when I start with the purpose to help at work, is the students, the community, my staff. At home, of course, you help your kids and your family. I took about 3 years to think through what I really want, and that purpose becomes much clearer to me.
I'm also wondering for another angle, as leaders, as the higher we go, the more people reports to us, right? Directly and indirectly. And we know there's diversity in the people we work with. What is purposeful to each of them will be different. How can you find synergy knowing that the purpose will be different across the board?
Work-wise, the objective that we want to achieve for the organization is more or less synchronized in a sense that you join the company, what is your whole purpose? What do you want to achieve? So for me, for all the new staff, I will have a coffee with them within the first 3 months, is to really sit down and talk to them and find out from them, especially for the younger one, where do they see themselves 1 year, 3 years. Sometimes they never even think about that before. So by asking them that question, it helps them to aim. And when they share more about what they see themselves 1 year, 3 years down the road, then you more or less will start to take away some of the things that they want to achieve. So that's my way of trying to align each and every one of them. In the organization, each of us comes with our own purpose to find out as their leader, and for me to at best ability value add to them as possible.
It is okay if you ask them this existential question and they cannot answer, because even making them think about it will value add to them.
Yeah, correct.
I think leaders today, the difficulty level and the bar is quite high. So what's one lesson you believe leaders today must learn sooner, better than later?
Every one of us is a leader in our own rights. And to be that leader, be it you're leading an organization or you're leading yourself or you're leading a small team, I personally find this thing very important. It's called proactiveness. To be able to be on your toes all the time and observe the environment and to learn and unlearn and relearn, to all the things around you that is changing. The environment is changing. Like what you say, everything is happening all around us. climate change, COVID just over, and market go down, market go up. So then it is important for us to know what is the factors that is changing around us, and also have this proactive approach to know, to learn what drives all this change in our environment. Then, of course, the most important is the human portion, the social portion. This is the one that we need, and they are the most fluid, and actively learn what are the things that they want, what are things that is useful for you to deliver certain things. So to me, as a leader in your own rights, or as a leader for organization, proactiveness is important.
And this quality can be translated into any area of change, whether it's new change, emerging change, or future change, right?
Yes, correct.
There's a chapter in my book that says, bring back the sense of wonderment.
Define wonderment.
When you describe this period of being proactive, have the hunger to learn, unlearn, relearn, continuously to be curious, have the sense of wonderment.
So that sense of wonderment, especially now in the learning science, I think for Singaporean, we share so easily. It's because we are so accessible to the internet. And therefore, sometimes you ask a question, the answer is there. It's at your fingertips. But I think when it comes to training, it is how to bring them to that level of learning that they are able to apply what they know. Once you bring them to the application, they will not share anymore because the educational profile of every one of us has went up. The level of that hurdle is even much higher for a trainer to achieve. This wonderment is not easy, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of passion for a trainer who wants to sit down and think through what are the best method for me to deliver this training so that they can achieve this outcome. So it takes a lot. It's not easy. I do agree with you.
I also have a moment of reflection as you are speaking. So I'm a speaker, trainer, coach, author. Even I have to now work harder to be proactive, to bring the quality of experience to the next level, because the learners today are wiser. They have access to a lot of information, and we cannot differentiate or add value by offering information. It is insight. Can I bring the right insight? When the learning can be applied, you'll see the purpose.
So that's why in the institute, we always believe the transfer of learning is so important. That's why we wanted all our students to go for clinical attachment. Because in clinical attachment, they really exercise what they learn. And that's where they reach the second level of internalization. And then they, I can also do this. So that brings them to a different level in the whole learning science.
For leaders especially, it's like, I have to learn for myself. I have to make sure my team is learning. And then all this whirlwind is happening outside. Oh my God, learning fatigue. How to deal with it?
If you are very keen on the topic, I don't think there will be learning fatigue. That's why I say the purpose is important. If that purpose and that resolve is not strong enough, you will not want to learn it. As I shared, I came from a military context. I'm never good at running business. Business, dollar and cents, was never part of my agenda in everything that I do in my past 20 years career. But because now I have to do this, it leads to the whole overall bigger purpose. If I don't generate enough income, how am I going to help people? Right? How am I going to have time to value add to my people? So then it makes you think of ways and start to research more. Over this past 1 year, I have learned so much about financial statement. That's how I use purpose to create more interest for myself to learn. Purpose-driven, and I think important is finding things to challenge yourself. And then that will keep you going and wanting to learn more, read more.
That's part of my decision-making process when I decided to do a Doctor of Business Administration program. Resonate with that is that you're looking for something to challenge you. You're waiting for somebody to ask you a very tough question. So tough that you can't wrap your head around it.
So the other experience, I'm not very good at language. I dislike Chinese and I don't do that well in English either. That's why I ended up in the engineering school. But throughout my military career, I realized, wow, language is so important. So then I took it as a challenge to pick up the Master of Arts. And that's 25,000 words of writing. And I've never written so much words in my life. And that challenged me. And now I'm very confident to tell myself, if I want to put the effort to do a good piece of writing, I can do it. And that was very defining for myself also, to be able to overcome something that we have fear of.
Yeah, and that's such a parallel of the example that you are aware of your weakness, but
Yes,
at least show people that you are putting effort to get better.
yes.
And at the end of it, when you have accomplished it, you will also give yourself a pat on the back. So, what's a simple action you think a leader can do every day to make a difference to their team in the long run?
When I took on this role, as a leader, we become very result driven, trying to strive for the top line, bottom line. Sometimes you forgot the people out there. And now I make it a point that every day I will walk out of the office to talk to at least one or two person and walk around to see anyone that I can engage. As a leader, because you're leading people, therefore you need to be with them and allow them to hear you, not in a large group formal setting, but in an informal session to go out there and engage every single one of them every day. I think it also makes them feel that, hey, I'm not a digit in the organization. Someone is noticing me, and that is important.
Yes, leaders are leading people, not things. So as leaders, the higher we are, the more we need to feel the pulse of the
Yes,
organization. And we can only do that if we are not sitting in the office, clearing emails, writing reports, reading reports. Go out there and connect with people and ask them
connect people.
questions. Just noticing, you see that discipline, just every day go out, speak to one, two people.
So that morning, when you come in, you see the first person, hey, how is everything? Want to go down for a coffee? Sometimes in the informal setting, they will share with you more things. And
Yeah.
that's where you hear the informal stuff and you can piece a better picture of what is happening.
Hearing things at informal setting is far better than getting an official report.
Yes.
It's been a great conversation. I learned so much. You gave me many moments of reflection. It's been a joy to have you here. Thank you so much, Mun Choon.
Thanks for your time.